Are you gonna like lean almost and welcome? I'm Michael. Yeah. But make sure you do this. How do you feel? Yeah. Okay. That's all right. All right. We can talk about tension. So we think we're well aligned.
Good morning. I would like to first thank our hosts for being here. So we're going to have Kim Williams with Grace Church give us a grace or a blessing.
So welcome this morning, and thank you for being here on behalf of Grace Church, but also Fayette Factor and Drug-Free Fayette. So if you'll just let me bless us and bless our time together. Father God, we thank you. We thank you for the beauty of the sun this morning. We thank you for the county, where we live, where we work, where we play. Father, may your blessings be on the corporations, the big and the small, the nonprofits, the many faith-based organizations in this community, but on each and every one of us here. We're here because we care about what we're doing in our county. So may we hear things today that we learn and that we take away and be a blessing in all that we do. And we thank you for our time together. Amen.
Thank you so much. I want to welcome you. My name is Oparah, and I'm the Executive Director for Fayette Factor. We are a nonprofit human service organization, and I'm a part of the Georgia Family Connection Partnership, and there's one of me. Fayette County is a site, and I'm the one that represents the Georgia Family Connection Partnership, and there's one of me in all 159 counties in Georgia. Our mission is to improve the well-being of our families and children, so from birth to old age. I would like to thank and welcome all of you for being here and taking time from your very busy schedules. We're so glad that you're here, because we're here to discuss a very important topic. So thank you so much for being here. And I would like to recognize who's in the room. So in your categories, if you would just stand, if you are representing the U.S. Congressmen, if you're field representatives for Senator Ossoff, Senator Warnoff, or Congressman David Scott, are you in the room?
Yes.
Oh, there they are. See? Look at them. If you need something, those are the folks. Also, our state members of the legislative body. Do we have Senator Say? I don't see. Senator Say, Representative Derek Jackson, I didn't see him come in, or Deborah Bazemore, on their way. Our local elected officials, our county commissioners, there's Commissioner Russo, and I saw Charles Otto. Okay, wonderful. And our municipal mayors, I saw Mayor Ed Brown, Mayor Gary Lagos. Eric's not here yet? Okay. And our town council or city council members. Stand if you're here. Okay, how about members for our law enforcement? I know I saw Chief Randy Mundy. Any other chiefs here? And all other law enforcement members, stand. Our town and city county managers. I know I saw Ray, and where's Steve? There. Okay, Steve Rapson walked away. Okay. Our faith leaders, and if you're either a faith leader, in charge or you have a leadership role in your faith community, please stand. Our civic leaders, any of our civic leaders? You may not be, okay. Business leaders, we have the chamber CEO, Colin Martin, and the incoming chair of the board, Jamie Tapp. Our human service leaders. Okay, yeah. Okay, and I know there's judges here in the room. I see Judge Stephen Ott. Any other judges?
No, Judge Natalie Ashton that's doing.
Oh yes, Judge Ashton. She's our juvenile judge. Where is she? I saw her come in. She's our, thank you. Any political leaders? Political leaders, people that are community activists. You don't want to, okay, there you go. Any organization. Anybody who did not stand, stand, because you're all VIPs because you're here. Please stand. And I do have an announcement to make. Attorney General Chris Carr really wanted to be here in person, and he put it on his schedule to be here in person. However, because of the schedule that he has, he's unable to be here, but he was so kind to send us a video, so we will have a video presentation from, and that will be in your program. It will be after number 7. Again, thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule, and I would like to introduce Michael Mumper, who is our Director of Programs for Fayette County, for Fayette Factor, and he's also our Project Director for Drug-Free Fayette, and he's going to host the rest of the program.
Thanks, Don. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here this morning. It means everything to us. What are we doing? We reduce youth substance abuse, build community collaboration, hence we're all here, and address the harms of community substance use issues for everyone. DFF is a program, not an organization. It's a program of Fayette Factor. Fayette Factor is a part of the Georgia Family Connections Partnership, which Dawn talked about. We have 4 employees and 1 intern. We are the program, Drug-Free Fayette, is largely funded by a national grant called the Drug-Free Community Support Program, which is funded by the Office of National Drug Control Policy that reports directly to the President. It's also matched 100% by contributions from our community with time, treasure, and talent. We have 18 different substance abuse prevention strategies that we implement. You will hear about 7 of them today. Key accomplishments. With some of the people in this room, we, as a community, adopted local social host ordinances in every municipality, which you'll hear about later in the presentation, and then raised the awareness of these ordinances from 28% to 66% over several years so that parents could hear about these ordinances. We won a national award from CADCA, Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, for that work. Our youth action team won a Governor's Red Ribbon Award for their work on raising vaping awareness before we adults really knew what was happening with vaping. DFF has over 50 coalition members who are either volunteers or are staff members of partner organizations. I'm not going to read everyone, but these are the sectors of the community that are represented by Drug-Free Fayette. So it's not just 4 staff people, it's people in every one of these sectors of our community. We value every one of them. Just a couple key data slides just to set a foundation. This is a survey we did with the support of the school system earlier this year. Over 1,500 students responded, over at least 100 in every single grade, 6th through 12th. And just taking one slice of that with 12th graders, for example, what substances are seniors in high school in Fayette County using? 22.8% use alcohol at least once in the last 30 days. And then vaping and marijuana are right behind. Tobacco and prescription drugs, and then even heroin and meth are on the radar. How do those numbers compare to a trend? Well, the blue numbers are 2022, what I just showed you. The green were 2 years ago. And if you can see what's going on here, alcohol went from 17% 2 years ago to 22.8 this year. So it went up. And if you look across, every one of these numbers went up except for tobacco. So we're not going to talk why that happened. Pandemic certainly has something to do with it, but we should just know where our kids are with using substances. With that, I'm going to flow right into our first keynote speaker, Stephen Childs, the Vice President of Human Resources at Panasonic Automotive. And if you could roll the tape.
Hey everybody, Stephen Childs. I'm the Chief Human Resource Officer at Panasonic Automotive here in Fayette County. And I'm very honored and glad to be here today to be able to share part of my story with you. First, when Dawn calls and asks you to support, you just say yes. So that's rule number one. So I'll try to keep this brief, but I do want to talk about how important it is that we get involved as individuals, as a community, as corporations, as nonprofits, to be able to dig in and solve for some of these really unbelievable issues that we're facing from a drug perspective, and that could be prescription drugs. That'll be part of my story today, or fentanyl issues, or the amount of drugs coming over the border. There's an endless number of things we need to solve for, but certainly just the prescription issues alone are enough to overwhelm us all to be able to solve for it. And I'll tell you my personal story. And if you don't know me, again, I'm the head of human resources for Panasonic Automotive. I speak all over the world, but when you have to speak about something so personal, you have to be very vulnerable to be able to tell these stories in hopes that they're impactful enough to touch somebody. And hopefully this resonates with somebody today. And again, I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I'm actually speaking at an event today, but Dawn gave me this ability to do this remote. And again, I'll tell my story and keep it brief. So my story goes back to 2004. My ex-wife at the time, my wife, now my ex-wife, and we'll talk about that a little bit, was pregnant with my son, and she was having a number of different medical issues during this pregnancy. First pregnancy, my daughter was 2.5 at the time. That went really, really well, very smooth. And this pregnancy with my son did not go so smooth. She had a lot of different issues, had a lot of tests being done. And she found out after she gave birth to my son that she had lupus. She was diagnosed with lupus. And it was causing a lot of different medical issues, which lupus does, and joint pain and joint issues and internal inflammation and you name it. And the first thing that they did, here's a mom of a brand new baby and a small 2-year-old, was hook her up with a pain management doctor. And for some of you who are sitting out there, you already know where this is going. Here's somebody who was one of the most highly productive people that I know, a great mom. They hooked her up with a pain management doctor to solve for all the pains that come with lupus. But what preceded was a downturn in her medical and life moving forward. So part of that was a 6-month program with this pain management doctor who introduced her to just about every type of a highly addictive pain medicine that you can imagine, with oxycodone and Vicodin and morphine patches, and it's unbelievable. And there was no real recourse, even as her husband, as she started going through this and seeing the addictive nature of these drugs, how much it took control of her life. And I'm somebody who had multiple surgeries. I've skydived, motorcycles, you name it. I've broken myself up in a bunch of pieces over the years, and they put me back together. And I've always taken pain medicine in small doses, and it's never affected me. I mean, the effect it was I don't want to take them. The effect that it had on her was totally different. So it completely consumed her life. That's what her life became, was this: how do I continue to be able to take these medicines? And again, at the same time, having a small baby and a 2-year-old. And very quickly, this addiction took over and left me in a position of trying to be a single dad and a caretaker of somebody who was highly addicted to pain medication. And the struggle is there was very little support structure anywhere to be able to solve for that. The doctors only would listen to her. So if she said she needed more, they would give her more. Nothing I could do as a spouse. And it got worse and worse. Long story short, again, from an addiction standpoint, it just went downhill. Multiple rehabs that she went into to be able to break the cycle of this pain medication. And after 3 different rehabs and putting our kids in some very dangerous positions during that time frame, we ended up getting divorced as she would not go into rehab one more time. And she literally at that point severed her relationship with the kids, and they were tiny, small kids, all because of pain medication. So our ability for infrastructure from doctors, from support groups, there was very little support. And I called in just about every favor I could imagine. And I know a lot of people in this county and the state, and it was still not enough to be able to solve for the crisis that she was going through. And I ended up being a single dad of 2 very small kids. And they lost their mom, not her life, but they've never seen her since. And she is still very much addicted to pain meds, and that still is her life today, and has not been solved for. So the crisis is real, and it doesn't matter where you grew up, what kind of job you have, what your life status is. This is a problem that affects every single person in every stage of life, every economic stage. It doesn't matter. It's non-discriminatory. And we need people like Fayette Factor and groups and Dawn and Michael to be able to help solve for these kind of things. The infrastructure is terrible. And it's going to take a village. It's going to take us all to be able to dig in and figure out how we solve for this. And it's going to be one step at a time. So that's my story. My kids are great. My daughter's 20 now and Dean's List in college. My son's about to be a senior. But it was not an easy road. And it's still not an easy road for them. They've lost their mom pretty much forever over prescription drugs. And the stories that I've heard during all of this time has been unbelievable. The amount of similar stories that I've heard year after year after year, just running into people and people just knowing a little bit about my story. So thank you, Fayette Factor. Thank you, Dawn, Michael. Anything that I can do to continue to support, I'm all in. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Stephen. And with that, I'll pass it to our second keynote speaker, Debbie Britt with Piedmont Fayette Hospital.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here today to share my story, but I have to say I am very impressed and very overwhelmed with the audience that's here today. These are very serious issues, and you heard from Stephen, this happens to our friends, our neighbors, our family. I would encourage this group to, as you hear these stories, always listen, always arm yourself with education, because it is a community-wide problem that impacts every one of us every single day. So I am proud that I have been a Fayette County resident for 28 years, married to Mike for 28 years, and he is what we call Saint Mike. He is the stepdad to our children, Sarah, who's turning 40 this year, if that explains to you how old I am, and yes, why I'm retiring this year too. So Sarah's in Missouri with her lovely family. My son David is here in Fayette County with his lovely family. And we've had a lot of milestones and things to celebrate this year. One of those milestones is my son's sobriety. David will, this August, will mark 3 years of being clean and sober. Thank you. My story today, and we take each day as a blessing, not tomorrow, we take today. My story has today a good ending. My son David became addicted to opioids at the age of 14. Now that conjures up all kinds of minds that I was a horrible mother letting my children run wild with the wrong crowds. No, and it took me years to understand that David's addiction was no fault of being anything but a good mom, and Mike being a good dad. My son's addiction occurred because we did what we thought was everything right. My son was a top gymnast as he was entering high school, 10th in the state, competed nationwide, straight A student, and then he had a horrible injury, took a bad fall on a pommel horse and literally blew out his elbow. Multiple surgeries, we found the best help we could. It was a unique injury, found sports medicine known throughout the nation who operated on David for, I think, a 4th time. David was in rehabilitation, had the steel contraption built around, and bear in mind this kid's 9th grade. And we did everything we thought right. We did everything the doctors told us to do. We managed his pain. We were careful. I was that mom that only gave him his medicine when he needed it, no more, no less, right? And within a year, unknown to us, because back then, think about this, my son is 37 today. Back then, we did not recognize the signs of addiction. When David started to pummel down, we took him to psychologists, we took him for therapy, because we felt what happened to him was his self-esteem, his self-identity had crumbled with his injury. You know, I'm a top athlete, and now I have no mobility in my arm. So as he recovered, his behavior started to change, things started happening, and like any good parent, we reached out, and like any good parent, we blamed ourselves. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with David. As Stephen mentioned, these addictions happen very quickly, but we did not recognize many. We felt stupid, to be honest with you. Didn't know, thought we were doing it right. Eventually, David dropped out of high school. Took a journey that I can't even describe. There were times we never knew where he was. There were times that I was afraid to answer the phone. I still, when the phone rings, I am still programmed to think this is the call that I don't want to receive. By the grace of God and multiple rehabs, in and out, everything we could possibly do, David had a stretch of being straight. At that time, he went back and got his GED, and I thought, okay, we're going somewhere. He joined the U.S. Army, served 4 years, 2 tours in Iraq, came back as a decorated combat soldier. When he was going through boot camp, and even his superiors as he was in the field would say to us, there's nobody else I want to be in the trenches with more than David Hall. He was a good soldier, and he was a good friend to his team. But when David came back, he had a really hard time re-entering. He had PTSD. He served in 2 of the worst combat zones in Iraq. When he came back, I'm focused on my son's psyche, not really knowing that his addictions were always looming out there, but no evidence that it was happening again. But it's exactly what was happening. And he would say to me, Mom, how do I get the vision of bombs blowing up children in front of me? How do I get the vision of losing my best friend in my arms? How do I get beyond this? And I didn't have an answer for him. The military didn't have an answer for him. There wasn't the help there is today. Not that it's still great today, but there was no network. And once again, we were lost. So David took a journey that was, quite frankly, just the journey to hell. David became somebody we didn't know. David was horrific. He got deeper and deeper into drugs. He got married, had a lovely child, and unfortunately his life played out in front of my beautiful granddaughter. He went in and out, divorce, remarriage, a couple of more kids. And to this day, those kids are still, I think, his saving grace. But when I thought David couldn't hit rock bottom anymore, he hit rock bottom again and again. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me how deep that rock bottom was. So Mike and I really kept this in silence. I was a fairly public figure in Fayette County, not ashamed of my son, just lost. No, back 20-some years ago, there was not a network like I'm sitting here in this room looking at today. Did not know who to turn to. Like Stephen, I knew just about everybody in town, but I didn't have the right number. Didn't have that. And so we had made a choice. My elderly parents were living with us at the time. And my dad looked at me and he knew, David was not only hell-bent on destroying himself, but destroying our family unit. And so he said to me, Deb, you can close the door, just don't lock it. And I said, okay. And so we distanced from David by design. We had not spoken to him in months, and one day I got a call from his wife. And she said, David's incarcerated, and he's going to be there for a while. So David ended up being in there 4 or 5 months, something like that. And I got another call from his wife, and she said, he's appearing in court today. You may want to be there. And I said, I can't do it. I cannot have my heart ripped out again. I became just hardened. I just could not do it anymore. And it sounds terrible because you're always thinking one more time. This is going to be it. This is one more time. And that one more time gets to be never happening. And she said, there's something different this time. There is a new program called the Veterans Accountability Court that might give him a chance. The problem is they don't think David is a good candidate. He would be the first veteran going through this problem, but he was so bad gone. There was not many people who really believed that David should have this chance. So Stacy said, please go to court and let's see. Well, I did. And I walk in to this courtroom and I'm scared to death. I'm shaking, I'm hopeful, and I see the judge who has known me forever, but doesn't know why I'm there because my son has a different last name, so he never made the connection. I've never shared this story, and this is why I'm sharing this part, because I believe that there is, God ordained this, and I had no idea. If I had butted in, I probably wouldn't have this story to tell. But the judge is looking at me, I'm looking, and he's like, what the heck are you doing here? And then a small group of people from the Eden Project were behind me and reached out and said, Debbie, what are you here for? And as I said that, I was asked that, I believe David entered the courtroom in shackles. And I said, that's my son. And I think it was the first time anybody really knew. And I sat there for what seemed hours of testimony, hours of discussion, hours and hours and hours. And I thought, this is it. He's going to go away. He was facing 8 years in jail. David was caught in his own truck, in his driveway of his car, hundreds of feet from where his family were sleeping, and had over 30 controlled substances in his car with a permitted firearm. Not a good situation. The neighbor called the police came. By the time I got that call, I thought, oh dear Lord, he's distributing, he's harming somebody else, and the officer took me aside and said, oh no ma'am, this is not meant for distribution. That's David's personal pharmacy. This is the amount of drugs my son was taking. With that, they were felony charges, facing 8 years in jail. So now I'm back in court. And by some miracle, the judge grants David permission to enter into the Veterans Court Accountability Program. It's an 18-month, in-your-face, no room to move, accountability court. The miracle for David as a veteran is that he was surrounded by an army of men and women who had gone through his same journey, who had come out on the other side. When you think about programs in this community, that one was catered for veterans for a good reason. David, for the first time, was able to get help for his addiction, his PTSD, anger management, and all that rolled into one. It wasn't focused on one thing because he needed it all. And this group of volunteers and this court system and everybody else involved with this program saw what had happened in other communities as a result of these programs. And I'm standing here to tell you that David not only completed the program, but he raised the bar pretty darn high for those coming after him. And as I said, this August will mark 3 years of David's being clean and sober and living a wonderful life. So I give all the credit to God first, my son second, my family. Our journey doesn't end here. David has a lifelong journey ahead of him. Every day he wakes up, he has a decision to stay on this path. Trust after you destroy lives is hard to be earned back. What David has is a gift from God, but he could not have done it alone. There are people in this room that have impacted my life, my son's life. I challenge all of you, not just my story, not just Stephen's story, but pay close attention, be connected in this community. Let's have a strong community to where we end the barriers that keep our citizens, our families safe, and give them what they need. So with that, I want to thank you again to Fayette Factor, Dawn, Stephen's right, I'll do anything for you anytime. And thank to all of you for letting me share my story for the first time ever, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie. With that, I'll bring Dr. Ted Lombard to the stage to start to talk about our strategies.
Good morning. Sergeant Campbell couldn't be here today. She's a school resource officer for Whitewater High School, and she's on official duty, so I'm going to try to do this on my own. So one of the strategies of Drug Free Fayette Coalition is to inform parents of the Fayette County Social Hosting Ordinance through our Think Before They Drink campaign. Are you aware that alcohol is the most popular illegal substance used by Fayette County teens, and that most teens drink at home or at the homes of their friends, sometimes their parents' permission? Recent surveys, and I think you saw the chart, show that 22.8% of 12th graders in Fayette County have had at least one drink of alcohol in the last 30 days, and more disturbing, almost half of those 12th graders have admitted to binge drinking. With graduation and end of school parties being planned, we want to make sure that parents are aware of the possibility their teens or teens' friends may be bringing alcohol to these events. Parents also should be aware that parties their children attend where alcohol might be provided by their friends' parents. So what is social hosting? Social hosting is an act of allowing youth under the age of 21 to drink alcohol on one's property, whether or not the parents serve the alcohol, know about it, or should know about it. So the social hosting ordinance can be found on the Fayette County Government Muni Code site, and I did look it up yesterday, and it was easy to find. And it's in effect on all Fayette County cities and in unincorporated counties. Parents who violate the social hosting ordinance will be required to appear in court to face charges and may be fined up to $1,000 or face 6 months imprisonment, or both. But the other unintended consequences of teen drinking include motor vehicle accidents, DUI arrests, alcohol poisoning, neighborhood disturbances, and often violence of these. In fact, what sometimes happens is that the word about parties go out on social media. People show up uninvited, and it causes a lot of problems. We're proud of our efforts to increase our parents' awareness of ordinance significantly since 2015. Parents can prevent youth drinking at these events by doing the following things. First, talk to your teens beforehand. Set firm rules and get their teens' cooperation. And parents can find some great strategies on how to talk to their teens on Drug Free Fayette website, on Talk They Hear You. Very effective strategies. So parents are urged not to be tempted to be the cool parent and to think before their teens drink. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. With that, I'll turn it over to Aliana Stanley to talk about our youth action team.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aliana Stanley. Some of you know me, some of you may not. I am a member of the Youth Action Team, and as it says, I've been a member for almost 5 years now. The time has gone, I don't know where. The Drug Free Fayette Youth Action Team is comprised of Fayette County high school students, so high school students in Fayette County, who seek to positively impact their peers and promote a healthy environment in their local schools. Our main goal is to increase awareness of the risk of substance abuse use. And what the team focuses on is underage drinking, tobacco use, and marijuana use. Tobacco use also, like was mentioned in the previous stats, includes vaping and e-cigarettes as well. How do we do this? We use positive peer-to-peer messaging. So what we did for the past couple of years, we had biannual social media campaigns. The team, on their own accord, created a Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram to put out messaging about vaping, alcohol, why you shouldn't do it, and alternatives to it. Additionally, we have two teams. We have one in Whitewater High School and one in McIntosh. They do poster campaigns, putting things up in the schools to raise awareness, and school-wide events.
Hi, my name is Olivia Shim, and I'm part of the Drug Free Fayette at McIntosh High School. And this week we launched our essay contest, and we also had a whole board full of my why and why people choose not to use drugs. We also had coding sheets and fact trivias to share awareness about being drug free. And that's Miss Avon. She was our sponsor and a big help. Yours to learn from. Oh, cool. I was on this right. Alright, choose your flavor. Gotta take a quiz. It's different. Popsicle.
So that video, oh, you can clap, sorry. That video features our McIntosh High School Youth Action team. They did an essay contest for their school, Your Why. Why don't you do drugs? What's bad about doing drugs? And for the same reason, to raise awareness. This slide is very important. It's very important to me, it's very important to you, or it should be very important to you. It's how can you help? One thing I can say as a young person myself, I can very confidently say that I am a product of Fayette County. However, I could not do it without Fayette County. I went through Whitewater High School. As I went through high school, I was in everything. And I mean everything. My parents, their gas tank was never full. So with that, you need to support our children. There are two things on this slide, elevate and explore. I want to implore you guys with two more things. Prioritize and listen. As children, I can say we are not listened to. As young adults, we are not listened to. You guys see us as younger than you and having less experience than you. That does not mean that our voice does not matter. We all have our own experiences, and in Fayette County, as somebody who went through Fayette County, it is a very competitive county. And that's something that's not talked about. So listen to your children. If somebody says something to you, don't take it with a grain of salt, take it like it means something. Because as much as you guys think you know what you're talking about, look, I love you guys, but you guys are just a little bit farther removed than you may think. So, I just want you guys to prioritize their voices and listen to what they're saying. My mom is giving me the signal, so I need to get off the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliana. Thank you so much. With that, I will pass it to Coalition Member Doreen Barr. Aliana, thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be here. My story doesn't end like Debbie's story. I lost my son May 21st, 2015 to fentanyl. He was a college athlete. He was prescribed Oxy as a pain pill when he had an injury. He started using, and like I said, May 21st, 2015, we lost him. That's why I got involved. That's my why I got involved with Drug Free Fayette. People are dying. If you look at the graph, in 2018, we lost 10 people to overdose in Fayette County. 2019, it went up to 33. And in 2020, it went to 25. But nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to hear it. What is the path to overdose? Most people who die from overdoses started by misusing prescription medications, just like my son. Most people start by using prescription medications. Our featured strategy 3 is safe storage and secure disposal. Where do people get their prescription drugs that they misuse? 53% get them from their own home, a friend's home, a family member's home. 53%. If you look, the percentage of people in Fayette County who actually securely dispose of their medications is only 22%. The people in Fayette County that actually lock up their medications is only 14%. We need to do a better job. Now we're going to get interactive here. By show of hands, how many of you have prescription medications in your home? Raise your hands. Okay, keep those hands up. Now, how many of you actually lock your medications up in something like this, a lockbox? Wow, a lot of hands went down. Well, for those of you that do not lock up your medications, today might be your lucky day. At the end of this breakfast, we will be giving away 10 lock boxes to 10 lucky people. So next time, we'll see at least 10 more hands raised for people that lock up their meds. Another way for safe storage and safe disposal is our DEA Take-Back Days. We have it twice a year, usually October and April. For the last 3 years, I've been participating in our DEA Take-Back Day, and I'm proud to say that we've collected 1,131 pounds of prescription medications that's either expired, that's either expired or that people no longer need. This year we started with a different program of secure disposal. We are using doTERRA deactivation pouches, and this is what it looks like. So, how many of you safely dispose of your medications? And I'm not talking about flushing them down the toilet, putting them down the drain, just throwing them in the trash. How many of you actually safely dispose by either DEA Take-Back Day or something like this? Raise your hands. Not too many. Well, today is really your lucky day because we have hundreds of these pouches in the back, and we'd like you all to take one home for you, take one home for your friend, to your family members. How you can help us. We have distributed to date about 25,000 of these pouches throughout our community to 80 public health offices, businesses, doctor's office, child care centers, veterinarians. In order for us to continue this with our safe disposal and secure disposal, we need your help. To purchase our next 25,000 pouches, we need to raise $75,000. We're asking you to help us with our next investment, with your organizations, with your businesses, with your companies. We'd love investments to be $5,000 or more, but we'll take anything we can get. With the donation of at least $5,000, you will get your company's logo, a sticker on every pouch, and we will give you all the advertising that you can handle. Newspaper, Drug-Free Fayette, anytime that there's a meeting. What we would like to do is work toward one prescription equals one pouch of doTERRA. And I always put that on my hashtag, one prescription equals one pouch of doTERRA. So please consider helping. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back, and I'll be talking about our drug diversion programs at Drug-Free Fayette. What is a drug diversion program? It Drug diversion programs work through our law enforcement judicial system to provide drug education, treatment, and recovery services instead of just criminalizing with high fines and jail sentences. When appropriately used, diversion programs lower recidivism rates, lower jail and prison costs, improve public safety, keep families together, and keep tax-paying people employed. And very often it can save a life. We started this work working with the city of Fayetteville when they adopted a marijuana possession ordinance back in November 2020. We helped them with some policy considerations, best practices across the country. And since then, we've provided evidence-based drug education, assessments for marijuana addiction, and when appropriate, referrals to treatment. We've served over 40 individuals cited by the city of Fayetteville's new marijuana ordinance. And there's been 0% recidivism since the program started over a year ago. We've leveraged that expertise and experience to work with an opioid possession diversion program. No such diversion program currently exists for simple, nonviolent opioid possession in Fayette County. Drug-Free Fayette and our district attorney, Marie Broder, received a grant from the CDC to pilot such a program. It's currently in the development stages. We are exploring national best practices for what an opioid diversion program should look like. Just conducted a focus group of 7 local and regional and statewide experts in this area. And components of this program could include things like evidence-based drug education, opioid use disorder testing, referrals to treatment, medication-assisted treatment, peer support, naloxone training, housing assistance even, counseling, and recovery community programs. With that, I'm going to bring Abbigale Clifford next to talk about our tobacco cessation strategies.
Good morning. I'm Abbigale. I am the Chronic Disease Prevention Manager at District 4 Public Health. We cover 12 counties in the area, including Fayette, obviously. And I am on the strategy team that does tobacco cessation. So in Fayette County, we have 15.3% of adults who are current smokers, and that equates to about 10,000 people in Fayette County. The state average is almost 20%, so not surprisingly, we do pretty well, but there's always room for improvement when you consider how many people that is. So when we did the survey that has been referenced a few times, we found out that 22% of people in Fayette County know of a resource for tobacco cessation, that being a quit line that you would call and ask for help quitting. So obviously we have a huge percentage of people who could learn about some more tobacco resource opportunities. And when we talk about preventing tobacco use or helping people quit, we are targeting the leading cause of preventable death, which is tobacco use. So within this strategy, we have 2 campaigns. The first one being a social media campaign, and you might be thinking, okay, lots of people are doing that. But from experience and research, we know that there are tons of myths out there, not only with our young people, but also with adults when it comes to tobacco use, vaping, and e-cigarette use. So we have done a social media campaign since November that is, dispelling myths and also giving people access to the resources that we have. And one of our next steps is going to be involving the youth team that I admire a lot. And we are going to be assessing some local tobacco retailers so we can make sure that the retailers near our schools are aware of the Tobacco 21 law that's relatively new. If you don't know, there is a new law that says you cannot purchase tobacco products under the age of 21, which is a big win for public health. So this is just an example of one of the posts that we have done with Drug Free Fayette, and it is equating the amount of nicotine that is in cigarettes to vape pods. So as you can maybe see with this picture, the amount of nicotine that are in vape pods equate to so many cigarettes. So we have had lots of interactions with our posts. You can see this one, I think it says 26, 26 comments. We had 11 people share, and it got a lot of traction, as you'll see in this next slide. Since November, we have had almost 70,000 people reach through our targeted posts with Drug Free Fayette. So we're going to continue that work and keep spreading messages that will deter people from using tobacco products, hopefully, but also giving them access to free resources that already exist in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
And with that, we'll welcome Jasmine Hooper.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone here today. So I am here to talk with you all about secondhand smoke in Fayette County. So I'm with the American Heart Association and here on behalf of Breathe Easy Fayette, and my goal today is to raise awareness about the dangers of secondhand smoke and the prevalence here in Fayette County. So just want to talk to you all about what's going on with secondhand smoke in Fayette County. So as you heard in the previous slide, there's about 10,000 folks that are, choosing to smoke in the county. But what we know is that when there's smoke, there's secondhand smoke. So we want to make sure that we're protecting the, the rights of those who choose not to smoke to have access to clean air. So what you all will see is that 67% of folks in Fayette County who responded to the survey that Drug Free Fayette conducted have acknowledged that they've experienced secondhand smoke in the past 2 years. Those are just some more facts about the prevalence here. And I want to talk with you all about where this is happening. So about 74% of respondents in the county have said that they've experienced secondhand smoke either inside or outside of a bar or a restaurant. So just when you're going to eat, if you choose not to smoke, sometimes you're going to have that, that exposure to secondhand smoke, and that can be dangerous. Also, 28% of respondents have said that they've experienced it at a park or recreation center, and we know who's at the parks in Fayette County, our little ones and our kids. So we want to protect, our youth, and I know that's a big. That's a lot of the work that Drug Free Fayette is doing. Also at a music or entertainment venue, just going out to have a good time in Fayette County, and you're having access to, or exposure to secondhand smoke, and directly outside of your workplace. So again, workplace, you can think of the bars, the restaurants, the lounges, folks who are food service workers, are musicians who are working at these places, they're also experiencing secondhand smoke, just going to work and trying to, pay their bills. So what we know about secondhand smoke, again, there's no safe exposure, and especially not for our little ones and our kids who are coming up. We want to make sure they have a safe, healthy upbringing. So what we know is that brief exposure to secondhand smoke does have cardiovascular and various health impacts. It affects heart disease. We all know about cancer, chronic lung disease, and so much more. So what we all can do today is, if everyone can take out their cell phones, I know I see some people that have their phones out already, if you all can just take your cell phones out, the number there is wrong. If you can text CURE to 46839, again, that number is 46839, and if you text the word CURE, you'll hear all about what the American Heart Association, along with our partners at Drug Free Fayette, what we're doing in the county to address the issues of secondhand smoke and so much more. So again, text CURE to 46839 and go ahead and sign up using that link, and you'll hear more to come. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. With that, we'll bring our District Attorney, Marie Broder, and Alana Barr.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Alana. Actually, Alana and I have never met in person. We've worked together for months over Zoom, and this is the first time I've seen her in person, so hello. I am the district attorney, and so obviously I watch very closely, as my law enforcement partners down there do. We're constantly watching to see what happens with the legalization of recreational marijuana in Georgia. But what this group is focused on is staying ahead, essentially, of the curve, and when and if it comes, we want to be prepared, and that's what this group is about. As you heard in an earlier presentation, about 15% of our seniors are using marijuana. But one thing I want to point out, and that's going to become relevant later, is 15% of them are also vaping. So we've got 30% of our 12th graders that, as far as our group is concerned, we're concerned about. So our group is all about policy, because a lot of people don't understand what a big business marijuana is. You're talking about producers, you're talking about cultivation, you're talking about distribution, wholesalers, retailers, consumption lounges. Okay, we're talking about a massive business. And what our group is here to do is to potentially address restricting parts of that big business, and what's the best way to do that. This only focuses on retail. But when we're talking about this slide, please keep in mind this is one very small part of that big machine that we're talking about. In our research, we have discovered that in Colorado, and it's kind of a bragging thing for the marijuana retailers out there, that there are more vape shops than Starbucks and McDonald's in Colorado. Now, why is this important? And this also ties back to the 15% of vaping kids we've got out there. Vape shops are the most common place where marijuana is sold. So a vape shop is up now. If marijuana is legalized, we just expect that that's where marijuana is going to be sold. And I'm looking at my law enforcement partners. We've got some selling THC right now, illegally. So that's what we expect. That's why I want to bring this to your attention. Currently in Fayette County, we have 14 vape shops. Starbucks and McDonald's combined, 8. So more than the most popular food chain and the most popular coffee store. That should be concerning, and that's what our group is about. We have met, let's try this. Okay, we have met with experts in this area. Alana has been doing a ton of research, and we're currently finishing up research on a national level, kind of looking at how other states and counties have handled this. And what we are now ready to do is determine the best way for us in Fayette County to handle this. Is it zoning? Is it an ordinance? Well, I'm the district attorney, and Alana is getting her master's, so we don't know a whole lot about zoning. So we're looking at y'all. If any of you are familiar in this area, or you know somebody that could be helpful to our group, please reach out, because we want to be forward-thinking in this. What we don't want is for this to happen, nothing's in place, and we've got huge wholesalers, buildings out there, we don't want that for Fayette County. We want to be the forward-thinking county that Fayette has always been, and that's what our group is about. So if you can help, please reach out to Drug Free Fayette, and we will be very excited to have you on board. Our next step is expanding our research and hopefully forming a campaign in the near future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn it over to Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Attorney General Chris Carr, and I am so sorry I can't be with you this morning at the Community Leaders Breakfast, but I do want to support you and thank you and all of you who are supporting Drug Free Fayette. We appreciate it so very, very much. Obviously, the opioid crisis is a big issue, not just in our state, but our nation and around the world. But we're doing something about it in the state of Georgia. I'm proud that we have started our statewide opioid task force. Appreciate those of you who have supported us. If you haven't been to one of our meetings, please go to our website at law.ga.gov and you can sign up for the task force that is open to everybody. But obviously the last couple of years have been difficult. We know that addiction is on the rise, whether it is through alcohol addiction or the rise of overdose deaths, and we've got to confront it and face it as a state. And appreciate what you all are doing at the local level, particularly with naloxone and with drug take-back days. That's a huge issue. Prevention is key. Addressing the issue of stigma is key. You know, this is a crisis that knows no geographic, economic, or demographic boundaries. And whenever I go to a meeting, I ask folks, you know, if you've been impacted by this crisis, and most of the people in the room, either because themselves, the family, a family member, or a coworker has been impacted, or a friend. So this is time for us to be able to talk about this issue and address it head on. And we need the resources to do that. There has been a recent nationwide settlement with 3 of the major distributors and Johnson & Johnson, one of the manufacturers, that we recently signed on to. And we were the last ones to sign on to this agreement because I wanted to make sure that the state of Georgia got each and every dollar it was entitled to, $636 million. But we had to do a few things in order to get that money. We had to come together as cities and counties and hospital authorities and others that had filed suit. We had to agree to an amount to split as far as the resources that would be available between the state and the cities and the counties and those that had filed suit. We did that. And then we had to get a litigation bar passed this session, so going forward, lawsuits could be filed against these particular entities. We did all of it. We came together. And so $636 million over the course of the next several years will be available to the state of Georgia. And it was our job to bring the money to the state. I'm proud of what we did. It will now be up to others to determine how to deploy those resources. But one of the things I would encourage you all as members of the community and as active in the addiction space, let's make sure that resources are deployed all around the state of Georgia, particularly to ex-urban and rural Georgia. If you are in a city or you are in a suburb, you are likely to be able to have some sort of access to treatment. But if you are in ex-urban or rural Georgia, it is very, very difficult. And we have law enforcement sheriffs telling us they arrest the same people over and over again because they don't have any options for treatment. This is a great opportunity to do it. But no matter what it is, this money is going to save lives. And we're very, very proud to be a part of that and look forward to the results. But again, thank you all for your leadership. Thank you for what you are.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Stanley. I'm the Director of Resource Development at Fayette Factor, and I have the best job this morning because today we're doing something for the first time with Drug-Free Fayette. As you heard today, this is a coalition of all volunteers, and for the first time, we're going to recognize a Volunteer of the Year. So this person I'm going to describe as a community leader with a mission, and you cannot stop her from her mission. I'm going to invite up Doreen Barr to the stage. You heard from her earlier today. It is my honor to present this award to Doreen Barr because we have a personal connection. It is our first award from Drug-Free Fayette, but she also, through her son's nonprofit, in Ryan's name, she gave out a scholarship for the first time last year, and my daughter was a recipient. So, and you heard from my daughter today, that was Aliana Stanley. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Doreen. She is committed. She single-handedly heard a little bit of what she did today, but she talked about the terror packs, which you will pick up today when you're leaving. Doreen has traversed all of Fayette County and even further and made it her mission to get the terror packs into the hands of organizations and individuals. Doreen has made a commitment in the community to say their name. International Overdose Awareness Day, she hosts an event in downtown Fayetteville where everyone gets together and they take ribbons and place on a tree, and every person who's there, their last one is represented by a ribbon. Doreen calls their name. She will not stop us from calling their name. Today we honor you, Doreen, for keeping Ryan's name alive. Many of you don't know this, but last week she actually participated in her first half marathon with her family. She flew to do the marathon. She trained for months, walking 8 to 12 miles a day. You can't stop Doreen. I can't think of anyone who's more deserving than Doreen for this year's award. It is my honor. Thank you. You want to say something? Not really.
Thank you very much. I look at this and the only thing I can think of is it can't bring my son back. I'm sorry. One of the best things that's happened since I've joined Drug Free Fayette is the wonderful, wonderful people that I've met along the way. Michael, Lisa, Dawn, Jean. I've made lifelong friends. And it's actually been so much fun getting out into the community and meeting people and working and striving for a mission. So thank you all very much. And Ryan, this is for you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for taking the time to be here, but before you go, I tried to greet every one of you at the door. I might have missed one or two, and I apologize, because you're why we're here, to save lives, to prevent addiction, or to start to treat it if it hits. We can't do it without you. We are required by our funder to match our grant with community investment. But the bigger point is that when you are invested in this work, it becomes a community effort. So let's consider for a moment how you might contribute in some small way. On your table, what can you do to support the Drug Free Fayette Coalition is there, or you can just point your phone camera at this thing and it'll take you online and you could fill it out online. But either way, we do ask if you could just take a moment and just check off the one or two that are easiest and then challenge yourself with one other one that might really support us in a big way. Participate, policy review, resource development, and sharing our story. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dawn to close us out.
Okay. I'm going to do it from here. Please look at this. We really do need your help, and you can do it so easy. So that's important, and we want to give something away, but we also, if there are questions and answers, we'll give you some time for that. But we have some lock boxes that we want to not carry away. So I'm going to ask my boss from the state, Ms. Marcelle Johnson West, to help me draw names, 10 names, so we can give away these lock boxes, and you can go to the back of the room to get it. Doreen's standing there.
Let me say something. Everybody knows here I am not Dawn's boss. Does Dawn have a boss? It's up there, right? Yeah.
She's from the Georgia Family Connection, and she's wonderful. She's going to draw a name, say it, and I'm going to also ask Colin, the CEO of the chamber, to also help us draw names, because we have to draw 10 of them.
So
apparently she's my boss.
Oh, I think she might be everybody's boss, Colin. S. Ott.
Stephen Ott. Okay, Judge Ott. Okay.
Jeff, I can't read that last name.
Townsend. Somebody, I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, there. Just go back there and get your box.
Get another one. Okay.
Krista Grayson.
Kevin Brown.
Andrew Hector, maybe?
Oh, that's from Warnock's, Senator Warnock's office. There he is.
Literally my boss this time, Brian Schutz.
A member of the Chamber Board. Sam?
Sam, Jan.
Oh, if we can't read your name, we're going to draw another one.
Sam with the...
Okay, read the number.
Oh, okay. 4207-439.
Okay, there he is.
And what's the name that we couldn't read?
Van, okay.
Oh, okay.
Brenda Cox.
She's right over there. A super volunteer in the community. Her box is there.
And Scott
Israel. Scott Israel.
And Daryl Hicks.
Is Daryl still here? Is Daryl still here?
I don't see him.
Okay, we have to remember those names, the ones that we didn't give out. We'll give it to them. Okay.
Is that all of us?
We'll draw another one, and then when we have some that we can give away. Draw another one, because we don't want to take any box with us.
Jennifer Okay, what's your last name? McGowan. See, and we realized that these lines are really small, so you didn't have a lot of room.
And our eyes are getting older. Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here. And we can do this. I think we had powerful stories from both Stephen Childs and Debbie Britt. And it's important that we tell our stories. We have to remove the stigma of substance use disorder. We have to. And we know some of you all have some stories. And so we want you to be able to share it either anonymously or invite other people that have stories to tell their stories, because we have to make a difference. We have to make a difference. And so thank you so much for being here. And please fill out the sheets. We need you to do that. If you write it, we'll be here when you're leaving. We want you to go out this door to make sure you get a deterror pack. You can either leave it on your table or hand it to us as you're leaving. And if you don't, just take your phone. It's a Google Doc and it'll go right to us. Real easy. Thank you so much again. If there are questions, you can always email us. And that's our website. Be a part of our newsletter. Involved. It's going to take the whole village to make a difference. So thank you again for being here.